First of all, I want to thank you for staying here and thank you for coming even in the rain. So my number one request is please come in the front rows and fill those before sitting all the way back. Otherwise, I'll have to remove all the chairs from the front to make you in the front row. So please come in the front. Otherwise, the photos don't look good. Empty chairs do not portray good message. So please, please come in the front. Second thing, I just want you to know there are two different programs. One, for American Muslim boys, we have very brief 30 minutes program, and we have a treat for you. And then prayer service, which is really, really spiritual. So I would like you to stay until 8 o'clock. Can I have your pledge, since we have weathered the rain and everything? Everybody would stay till 8? Yes. Then one more homework, since you are very good. Before you go, we need to have chairs in the back, folded and stacked in 10 chairs each. If everybody brings their chair and one more, that would really help us. Can you do that, please? Yes. Louder. Yes. All right. Thank you so very much. Now let me introduce Munira, who is MC for the American Muslim Boys.
Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. May peace be with you. Shalom. Greetings of peace. Hello. What a beautiful peace picnic. We're wet, we're icky, but we braved the rain. We braved the traffic on 101. We're not intimidated by the rain because we have bigger things to take on. So thank you very much for being here today for the community at large. We will start with a recitation from a portion of the Quran. This is chapter 49, verse 13. The reciter is my very own, Amin Haider, who's 9 years old and who lives with me in Saratoga, along with his dad and 2 siblings. Amin, will you step up?
يا أيها الناس إن خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا. O mankind, we have created you all from male and female and have made you into nations and tribes so that you may know one another.
Thank you, Amin. Okay, now color guard and flag posting. We have Troop 499 of Silicon Valley Monterey Bay Council. They do a lot of good things, including serving food at various shelters and their own masjid, which is in the South Bay. Troop 499.
Color guard, attention. Audience, please rise. Scout salute. For those not in uniform, please put your right hand over your heart. Color guard, forward, march. Color guard, halt. Please join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Color guard, post the flag of the United States of America. Color guard, post the flag of the great state of California. Color guard, salute to the colors. Color guard, read more. Color guard, dismissed.
And now, Samina Sundus, founder of American Muslim Voice, over here to have us observe a moment of silence for the honorees and victims of September 11th.
Assalamu alaikum. May peace be upon all of you. Would you please join me in a moment of silence for the victims of 9/11, first responders, their families, and all the other victims of the senseless crimes in our world. Thank you. 16 years ago, one of the worst tragedies hit our country. The whole world knows about that tragedy. But 9/11 created another tragedy that divided our nation and our world into so many different parts and spread hate, violence, fear. That's why, in the face of adversity, American Muslim Voice decided that we will stand focused, stay committed, rain or shine. We will just make sure peace has a chance. Can you please make a commitment today that you will do something simple as getting to know your neighbors? Because if you could just make that commitment, I think our world would be so much better. Because together, we can do anything, even build Martin Luther King Jr.'s beloved community and peace. And I thought we had an understanding with God, but I guess we need to keep talking. Thank you.
Like I said, we're not intimidated by rain. Will we be intimidated by this rain? No! Can we do this? Yes! Yes, we can. Okay, join me in welcoming Antonio Aversano, son of Louis F. Aversano, Jr., who was killed in the World Trade Center on September 11th. He chose the losing of his father as an opportunity of turning grief into actions for peace.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Nice to see you. I'm gonna hold it. That's okay. Oh, look. I'm talented. I can hold an umbrella and a microphone at the same time. I went to college.
This is my other camera.
Thank you so much, Samina, for calling everyone together. It's an honor to be here with you all and to feel, not only to see, but to feel the diversity here. And when I thought about this gathering, the term building bridges came to mind for me. And I really feel that what we're doing here is we're building bridges. And that was an interesting segue in my thoughts as well, because that's exactly what happened for me with my dad in 1999. I was living in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I was in my late 20s, and as you can imagine, as a young man in his late 20s, Dad was the reason why everything didn't work in my life. right? Parents become easy targets for why, as an excuse for why life is not working. And thanks to the nudging of a friend, I found myself sitting in San Francisco in a transformational personal growth workshop, because we're in the Bay Area. This is what we do around here. We do these things. And it was the blessing of a lifetime, because in that weekend, the veil lifted for me. And just through, at one point, the facilitator asked us to do some simple math. They said, how old are your parents? How old are you? Subtract how old were your parents when they had you. And you'd think that I would know this at that point, but I had never done that math and realized my parents were in their early 20s when they had me. And something just clicked in my brain around that, where I realized I had a really blessed life and I hadn't acknowledged that. And seeing that I was 30 at that point, I couldn't even keep a plant alive. I was like, how did my parents do it, actually? I had a whole 180 turn around that. So there was a huge lifting of the veil around taking responsibility as a man and as an adult in my life. And then the facilitator said, okay, you really want to heal this? Go out, there's phones out in this room out there. Go call that person that you just were doing this work with, and that was my dad. And in one phone call, because I had shut my dad out of my life at that point, because again, he was an easy target, just in one phone call and this sacred apology with my dad, I had a huge healing and a huge transformation. And I really owned all the judgment and resentment that I was aiming at him, and took responsibility for my life. So on September 11th, 2001, my dad went to work like so many other people. He worked in the South Tower of the World Trade Center. And because my dad was so bright and loving and was so well known, they actually called him the mayor of Aon, which is the company he worked for. One of the roles he took on out of service was that, out of selfless service as a volunteer, was that the fire department of New York had asked one employee from every floor of the World Trade Center to be a designated fire marshal for that floor. So in the event of an emergency of some kind, if there was an evacuation, they would be the last person to leave their floor to make sure everybody else got off. And because of that role that day, even though instinctually I know that my dad knew when that first plane hit the North Tower that it wasn't an accident, he stayed behind to help others. And because of that, he didn't make it. So I digressed. Of course, there was major trauma for me from that tragedy, but that night of September 11th, I had a divine insight in remembering how I had healed with my dad those years before, and how I transcended this animosity that I had toward him, shutting him out of my life, all the judgments I had. And in that moment of having that divine insight, this voice came in and said, that was like being handed a piece of clay that you got to remold into a new relationship with your dad. How are you going to then mold this experience? So there was a way that the healing with my dad translated into maintaining a bigger picture in my life and seeing, transcending that trauma of September 11th. A dear mentor of mine along the way had said to me, when you feel animosity towards someone or even want revenge towards them, it's like wanting to give someone poison that you have to drink first yourself. And again, there's this way of that healing with my dad helped me maintain a bigger picture around September 11th and ask deeper questions of why did this happen? And what is the symptom on the human collective level that has coming to the surface? And so I wasn't so quickly to judge like many Americans in demonizing Muslims and creating, I think, what terror wants to create, which is separation and division. I very clearly knew that if I was to respond to that tragedy with hatred and wanting to be violent, and wanting revenge, then they took my life too. And I wasn't going to let that happen. And so I found my way to a bigger perspective. Thank you. And so I had many transformational experiences from that, where I kept going to this big picture. And one of the blessings was that I discovered an organization called September 11th Families for Peaceful Tomorrows, which was comprised of family members like me who were attempting to see the big picture, attempting to, as the mission of that organization says, turn our grief into actions for peace, recognizing that if we don't want tragedies like that to happen, then the best way to deal with that is to find peace here and to come together in circles like this and remember that we are all more connected than we are separate. And I'll leave with a spiritual teacher in my life named Curly Baba used to say, sub-ek, many names, many forms, all one. All one. So thank you for reminding me that we're all one in this world. Thank you. Oh, wait, I have to show you this. I just printed this over at the UPS store. This is my dad. Beaming man that he is. So I have little mini pictures of him. If you want to come and say hi to me, I'll give you a picture of him that you can take home and put on your altar. Blessings to you.
Antonio, thank you so much for sharing the picture of your dad. I'm sure he's looking down at you right now, wherever he is, and smiling. Thank you very much.